My job is unusual. I break people up for a living. Not the legal kind, that's what lawyers are for. I handle the messy, emotional fallout that comes before the paperwork is signed. They say love is priceless, but men and women who just whispered, "I love you," to their partners can place a six-figure order with me seconds later. Take right now, for instance. A text from my husband, Andrew, just lit on my phone. He's asking if I'd prefer Paris or Singapore for our wedding anniversary. And a second later, a young woman with a delicate, pretty face walked into my office. She was timid, gathering her courage before she finally spoke. I'd like to place an order.
For my boyfriend.
He's decided to divorce his wife. I kept my face neutral and picked up the client intake form. And then I saw the name. Andrew Cole. My hand froze for a fraction of a second. The girl across from me had bowed, continued in a small voice. My boyfriend says his wife is a good person, so he doesn't want to hurt her. A dry smile touched my lips. I stared at the photo on the form, at Andrew's face, a face so familiar it had somehow become a stranger's. It was a bitter thought. In my third year as a breakup specialist, I'd finally received my own case. I set the file down and took a proper look at the girl. Jenna. She wasn't as beautiful as me, merely pretty in a fragile, unassuming way. Slender. She'd definitely never had a child. She carried an air of inexperience, but her clothes and speech suggested a good education. When she mentioned being the other woman, her eyes darted away, a flicker of what looked like shame. "Miss Thorne," she began, her voice gaining a little confidence, "what would you recommend for a situation like mine?" My boyfriend said it would be best if the woman initiated the divorce herself. They've been together a long time, you see. It would be awkward. She bit her lip, offering a shy, almost innocent smile. If I wasn't absolutely certain she didn't recognize me, I would have thought she was mocking me to my face. I stretched my lips into a professional smile. "Miss Bird," I said, using her last name from the form. "How long have you and he been together?" The question seemed to catch her off guard. "What?" I raised my voice slightly, keeping it steady. "Before I can propose a strategy, I need to understand every detail of your relationship." Understanding dawned on her face. She nodded, her voice as bright and cheerful as a songbird's. But with every word she spoke, another piece of my smile chipped away. "We've been together for 3 years. We met at the hospital." She blushed, a soft pink dusting her cheeks. "His family member was having surgery, something serious, I think. He was so scared, just smoking in the hallway. I was passing by and, well, I said a few words to comfort him." She gave a self-conscious laugh. "We got to talking, and less than a week later, he asked me to be his girlfriend." As I listened to her sweet recollection, a sharp, violent pain lanced through my chest. "Was the day you met today?" I asked, my voice dangerously calm. Her eyes widened in disbelief.
"Yes."
"How did you know?" I managed a faint smile, my eyelashes trembling as I looked down. Of course I knew. Because 3 years ago today, I was at City General, giving birth to my first and only child with Andrew. Doing the math, while he was meeting her in a hospital hallway, I was on an operating table. A difficult labor that turned into an emergency C-section. I had passed out 3 times. The memory, once a testament to my strength, now felt like a dose of slow-acting poison, spreading through my veins. I took a silent, deep breath and forced myself to ask the next question. "Are you aware that he has a child?" "A daughter. She's 3, just started preschool." "Of course," she said, the timidity on her face replaced by a casual shrug. "What about it?" "He's already promised me," she continued, "that after the divorce, I'll be her new mom. She's just a little kid, you know? They don't really know the difference. Over time, she'll accept whoever is there. Don't you think so, Miss Thorne?" My knuckles turned white as I gripped the file. I nodded, my voice betraying nothing.
"Yes."
"You're right. Too bad you'll never get the chance." My agreement seemed to open the floodgates. She leaned forward, eager to share more, to brag. "He even showed me a picture of his wife. She has this long scar on her stomach, it's hideous. He told me himself, every time he sees it, it makes him physically sick." She paused, then looked at me conspiratorially. "Miss Thorne, what do you think is wrong with that woman? With a scar that ugly, why would she cling to a man who doesn't want her? Is she that desperate for love?" A small, cruel laugh escaped her lips. I laughed too, but my eyes were glacial. Is it possible that his wife never knew any of this? Jenna raised an eyebrow, her tone absolute. Impossible. He has a physical aversion to her. You'd have to be an idiot not to notice that. You have no idea, Miss Thorne. With me, he's so passionate, so alive. He says he's been starving at home, completely uninterested in his frumpy wife. I mean, if it were you, wouldn't you find it strange? 3 years without being intimate with your husband. Strange, I answered instantly. My gaze was numb, fixed on the platinum wedding band I hadn't taken off in 4 years. Andrew and I came from different worlds. My family had money, his didn't. Yet we'd made it from college sweethearts to the wedding aisle, 8 years of history between us. When I was sick, he'd literally jumped from a second-story dorm window to get me medicine in the middle of the night. When I was sad, he'd run across town to find the one bakery that made my favorite macarons, just to see me smile. He was there for every ultrasound, every doctor's appointment. Every time he came home, the first thing he did was hug our daughter, Lily, and me, telling us we were his everything. Even his excuse for our separate beds these past 2 years had been wrapped in a blanket of care. Leslie, he'd said, stroking my hair, you went through so much bringing Lily into the world. I could never put you through that again. I thought it was just what happened to marriage, that the fire cools to a quiet, steady warmth. How could I have known? It wasn't that he'd lost his appetite. It was that he was eating out. A chill crept up from the soles of my feet and settled deep in my bones. I asked my final question. What are your exact requirements for the separation? Is it just that the wife has to be the one to file for divorce? Jenna shook her head. Of course not. And most importantly, you can't let her find out he was cheating. I know people think he married into money, but he's worked so hard to build his own career. He's been through so much. If she finds out he had an affair, she'll never let go. She'll destroy him. I flexed my fingers, saying nothing. She wasn't reassured. She leaned in, her voice a conspiratorial whisper, repeating her instructions.
Finally, she sat back.
Miss Thorne, I know you're the best breakup specialist in the city. I'm counting on you and my boyfriend to handle this. I nodded, a practiced smile fixed on my face. Don't worry. The moment the door clicked shut behind her, I picked up my phone. I didn't call Andrew. I called my oldest friend. Get me the best PI and the best lawyer from your firm. I want a complete rundown of Andrew Cole's life for the past 3 years. Everything. I took a breath. And while you're at it, give my father a call. Tell him Andrew's cheating. It's time to pull our family's investments. I leaned back in my chair, the leather cool against my skin. Let's see what he has left when he's standing on his own. My friend, my most trusted partner, was ruthlessly efficient. Less than half a day later, a 128-gigabyte flash drive landed on my desk.
It's all in there, he said.
Brace yourself. I slid the drive into my laptop.
Click.
The first video opened. A high-end restaurant, bathed in soft, golden light. Andrew, dapper in a black designer suit, presented a massive bouquet of 9,999 imported roses to the woman across from him. Jenna. 3 months ago, for my birthday, Andrew claimed he was swamped at work. He came home with a single, sad-looking rose he'd bought from a street vendor for $5. The next file was security footage from a luxury department store. Andrew's arm was wrapped possessively around Jenna's waist as they shopped. Designer clothes, fine jewelry, shopping bags piled up at her feet like a monument to his affection. A small stuffed animal, a free gift from the cashier at checkout, was the same one he'd brought home for our daughter Lily's birthday. Expressionless, I closed the file and opened the next. 3 years of Andrew's bank statements. Massive sums of money bounced between several accounts, the cumulative total so large it made my chest ache. The final destination for it all was a private account ending in 7761. The account holder, Jenna Bird. He'd been funneling money to her under the guise of consulting fees, quietly siphoning off our assets. Did he really think I was that stupid? That I wouldn't notice? The cold in my heart felt like it was freezing me from the inside out. I clicked on the next file. It was a folder of screenshots. Text messages between Jenna and Lily's preschool teacher. Posing as Lily's mom, Jenna had been relentlessly asking about my daughter's daily life, what she ate, when she napped, who her friends were. She had even arranged with Andrew to attend the next parent-teacher conference together as a couple. My hand clenched the mouse so tightly my knuckles cracked. It wasn't just sadness anymore. It was a white-hot, protective rage. He had dragged our daughter into his sordid affair. I remembered when Lily was born, how he was the one who got up for every 2 a.m. feeding, rocking her back to sleep. He promised me that no matter what, she would always be our little princess, always loved, always protected. Even this morning, when Jenna had nonchalantly mentioned becoming Lily's new mother, a small, foolish part of me had felt a flicker of relief. At least Andrew still cared about his child. At least he wouldn't hurt her in a divorce. Now, I felt like a gaping wound had been torn open in my chest, with an icy wind howling through it. I couldn't stop myself. I grabbed my phone, my fingers flying, ready to send him a furious message to warn him to stay the hell away from my daughter. But before I could, a notification popped up. A message from Jenna. She'd sent me a selfie, a mirror shot of her in a new dress. The text read, "Miss Thorne, what do you think of this outfit? My boyfriend is taking me and his daughter to meet his parents tonight. I'm so nervous." At the exact same moment, a text from Andrew appeared. "Hey honey, my parents are missing Lily. I'm going to take her over to their place for dinner tonight." It was followed by a second message. "You've been working so hard. I bought you a movie ticket for tonight. Go relax and enjoy yourself." He'd even attached a picture of Lily smiling, taken just moments ago as she left preschool. Looking at my daughter's innocent, trusting face, a slow, dangerous smile spread across my own. A movie? The family dinner sounds far more entertaining. If he's introducing the new girlfriend to the family, then shouldn't the wife be there to offer her opinion? I hung up and got in my car, heading straight for the family estate. On the way, Andrew's text kept coming. "Honey, did you make it to the theater? Looks like there's a big event at the mall today. Did you see it?" He was checking up on me. I wasn't worried. I did a quick search for the mall's events, took a screenshot, and sent it back.
"Yeah, saw it.
It's pretty crowded." My reply was curt, but it seemed to put him at ease. "Okay, babe. Have fun. Love you." The same sweet words he always used. They turned to ash in my mouth. I put my phone away and didn't reply. When I arrived, I slipped on a hat and a mask and entered the property quietly through a side gate. The party was already in full swing. Nearly all of Andrew's relatives were there. His mother was beaming, flitting about like the perfect hostess. Her attentive, doting manner reminded me of how she'd been before Andrew and I were married. She used to treat me like her own daughter. When she knew my constitution was weak, she'd drive to a farm upstate to buy organic chickens for soup. When I was cold, she'd knit me scarves and slippers. She even remembered my father had a sensitive stomach and would brew special herbal remedies for him. Even my own father, a man who'd seen everything in the business world, was won over. "The Coles are good people," he told me. "I can rest easy, with you marrying into their family." But now, as Andrew walked in with a radiant Jenna on his arm, his mother was the first to rush forward. "This must be Jenna." "Oh, you're just as lovely as Andrew said. You can tell you're a good girl." She turned to her son. "Andrew, you better treat her right. No bullying, you hear?" His father, usually so stern and reserved, put down his newspaper and clapped Andrew on the shoulder, a look of deep satisfaction on his face. "Good eye, son. She looks strong. Healthy. It's about time the Cole family had a woman who can give us a son." And just like that, I understood. All this time, they resented me for having a daughter. They wanted an heir to carry on the family name. Jenna seemed to bask in the approval. She subtly pushed her hips forward and said in a sweet, girlish voice, "Don't you worry, Mr. and Mrs. Cole." Andrew took me to the doctor. "Everything is in perfect working order. I can definitely give you a grandson." Wonderful. Just wonderful. His parents were overjoyed, practically fighting over who could give Jenna a gift first. In their excitement, they pushed my daughter, Lily, aside like she was a piece of furniture. The other relatives swarmed them, showering Jenna with compliments. Amid the noise, I heard Andrew's uncle, a man to whom I'd loaned over $200,000 over the years, clap his hands and roar with laughter. "That's my boy. Now that's a true Cole man." His aunt, the one for whom I'd pulled every string I had to get her daughter into a university abroad, was dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. "Oh, this is such a relief. I liked Jenna the moment I saw her. She has a good, solid feel about her." And his younger brother, whose failed startups I had repeatedly bailed out with my family's connections, stood up to raise a toast. "To my brother and my new sister-in-law. To a long and happy life, and may you have a son soon." Every single one of them. Every person in that room had taken something from me, my help, my money, my kindness. And now not one of them remembered my name. It was as if I had never existed. The aunt, after wiping her tears, grabbed my 3-year-old daughter, and pushed her in front of Jenna. "Well, what are you waiting for, sweetie?" she urged. "Say hi to your new mommy." "Yes, yes," his mother chimed in, suddenly remembering Lily. She took my daughter's hand and tried to press it into Jenna's. "Lily, go on. Call her mama." Lily looked at the circle of strange, eager faces, her own face filled with terror. She shook her head violently. "No, she's not my mommy. My mommy's name is Leslie. Grandma, I want my mommy." Her small voice trembled. "Can you please call my mommy to come get me?" She thought her grandmother would save her. But the warmth vanished from her grandmother's face, replaced by a cold fury. She grabbed Lily's ear and twisted, hard. "You stupid girl, what nonsense are you spouting? She is your mother now. Say it." Andrew's father scowled at Lily, his disgust plain. "Andrew, is this how you've raised her? With no manners?" Jenna bit her lip, looking faint, and collapsed dramatically into Andrew's arms. "Andrew," she whimpered, "I don't think Lily likes me." He wrapped his arms around her, his voice a low, soothing murmur. "Don't be silly. She's just a kid. She doesn't know any better. Once we're married, she'll do whatever you say. I won't interfere." Standing just outside the patio doors, I had seen enough. I pushed the doors open and stepped inside. The chatter died instantly. I looked at the stunned, guilty faces around the room and let a slow, chilling smile spread across my face. Isn't this a family dinner? Why wasn't I, the actual wife, invited? The silence that followed my entrance was delicious. Andrew's face drained of color. Jenna's mouth formed a perfect O of shock. His mother dropped the champagne glass she'd been holding, and it shattered across the marble floor like my illusions about this family. But I kept my eyes on my daughter. Lily's tear-streaked face lit up the moment she saw me. "Mommy." She wrenched herself from her grandmother's grip and ran to me, her small arms wrapping around my legs. I picked her up, holding her close, and felt her tiny body trembling. When I touched her ear, the one his mother had twisted, she winced. A red, angry mark was already forming. Something cold and final settled in my chest. "Leslie." Andrew finally found his voice, stepping forward with his hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. "What are you doing here? I thought you were at the movies." "You thought wrong." I shifted Lily to my hip and met his eyes. For the first time in 3 years, I really looked at him, past the handsome face, past the practiced smile. All I saw was a stranger wearing my husband's skin. His father recovered first, rising from his seat with all the authority of a man who'd never been challenged. "Now see here, Leslie. This is a private family matter." "And I'm family," I said softly. "Or have you forgotten? I'm still Andrew's wife. Legally. Financially." I let that last word hang in the air, though perhaps not for much longer. Jenna, who'd been clinging to Andrew's arm, finally seemed to recognize me. Her face went from white to green. "Miss Thorne? You're his wife." "Surprise," I said, without smiling. "Leslie, please." Andrew's voice took on that pleading tone he used to use when he wanted something. "It used to work. Let's talk about this privately. There's no need to make a scene." "A scene?" I laughed, a sharp sound that made several of his relatives flinch. "Andrew, you brought your mistress to your parents' house and tried to make my daughter call her mama. I think the scene was already made." His mother stepped forward, her face hardening. "Now you listen here, young lady."
"No."
The word came out like a whip crack. "You listen. All of you." I looked around the room at the faces that had once smiled at me, embraced me, called me daughter. "I have spent the last 4 years of my marriage being your your problem solver, your golden goose." I pointed at Andrew's uncle. $230,000. "That's what you've borrowed from me over the years. Not 1 cent paid back." His face reddened, but he said nothing. I turned to the aunt. "Your daughter's university admission?" I called in 3 favors from my father's contacts in the education board. She would have never gotten in on her own merits. She looked away. "And you?" I faced Andrew's younger brother. "I've bailed out 4 failed businesses."
4.
The last one just 6 months ago. "Leslie, we're family," his mother started. "Family," I repeated, my voice dropping to something dangerous. "Family doesn't twist a 3-year-old's ear until she cries. Family doesn't forget a woman exists the moment a younger model shows up." I shifted Lily in my arms. She'd stopped crying and was watching everything with wide, confused eyes. Here's what's going to happen. I'm taking my daughter and leaving. Tomorrow morning, Andrew, you'll find divorce papers waiting for you at your office. Divorce? His voice cracked. Leslie, please, we can work this out. Oh, we will work it out. My lawyer will be in touch about the division of assets. All those investments my family made in your company, consider them recalled. The house? It's in my name. Your car? Registered to my insurance. Even that watch you're wearing? I smiled. Anniversary gift from me. I have the receipt. Andrew's face went from pale to gray. I could see him doing the math, watching his comfortable life crumble in real time. But the adultery. Jenna suddenly spoke up, her voice shrill. You can't prove. I turned to her, and whatever she saw in my face made her take a step back. Jenna Bird, I said, pulling out my phone with my free hand. Born March 15, 1996. Currently employed as a medical assistant at City General Hospital. You've been receiving monthly deposits of $15,000 from my husband for the past 3 years. The same husband who's been telling me we need to cut back on household expenses. I scrolled through my phone. You've also been impersonating me, Lily's actual mother, in communications with her preschool. That's identity fraud. And let's not forget the 128 gigabytes of evidence my private investigator collected. Hotel receipts, text messages, videos. I looked at Andrew. You weren't as careful as you thought. You hired a PI? He looked genuinely shocked. When?
Yesterday.
After your girlfriend came to my office to hire me. The room went silent again. Jenna made a small, strangled sound. That's right, I said, looking at her. I'm Leslie Thorne, the breakup specialist you hired to end my own marriage. Quite the plot twist, isn't it? Andrew's mother found her voice again, but it had lost all its earlier warmth. If you divorce him and take everything, you'll ruin him. Is that what you want? Revenge? I met her eyes. I want justice. There's a difference. I adjusted Lily on my hip. I want my daughter to grow up knowing that when someone hurts you, disrespects you, betrays you, you don't accept it quietly. You stand up. I headed for the door, then paused and looked back. Oh, and Jenna? About that grandson you promised? I smiled. You might want to ask Andrew about the vasectomy he got 2 years ago. He told me it was because another pregnancy would be too risky for my health.
Touching, right?
Jenna's face went white. She turned to Andrew. You said you wanted more children. You said. I think, I interrupted, you'll find that Andrew says a lot of things. I walked out into the night air, my daughter safe in my arms, and didn't look back. Behind me, I could hear the first stirrings of chaos. Raised voices. Accusations. The sound of something else breaking. Let them sort it out. I had a divorce to plan. The next morning, I sat in my office reviewing the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared overnight. They were beautiful in their thoroughness. Every asset documented, every financial transfer tracked, every piece of evidence referenced. My phone buzzed. Andrew. I let it go to voicemail. It was his 15th call since last night. Then a text. Leslie, please. Let me explain. It's not what you think. I almost laughed. After everything, he was still trying to gaslight me. Another text. Think about Lily. She needs her father. That one made my jaw clench. Now, he wanted to use our daughter? I was composing a scathing reply when my assistant knocked. Ms. Thorne, you have a visitor. She says it's urgent. Who? Jenna Bird. I set my phone down slowly. Send her in. Jenna walked in looking nothing like the confident woman from 2 days ago. Her eyes were swollen, her makeup smudged. She'd been crying. Miss Thorne, Leslie, She stood in the doorway, wringing her hands. Sit. I gestured to the chair across from me. She sat, and for a long moment, neither of us spoke. The vasectomy, she finally said. Was it true? I pulled up a medical record on my computer and turned the screen toward her. She leaned forward, reading, and I watched her face crumble. 3 years, she whispered. 3 years he's been promising me. He said after the divorce, we'd start our own family. That you were the one who didn't want more children. I said nothing. Sometimes silence is more powerful than words. I'm an idiot. She pressed her hands to her face. God, I'm such an idiot. I actually thought he loved me. He probably did, I said, surprising myself. In his way. The way he's capable of loving anyone. She looked up at me, mascara running down her cheeks. How can you be so calm? If I were you, I'd want to kill me. Oh, part of me does, I admitted. But a bigger part of me pities you. Because I used to be you. Young, in love, believing every word that came out of his mouth. I leaned back. The difference is I wasted 8 years. You only wasted 3. I destroyed your marriage.
No.
I shook my head. Andrew destroyed our marriage. You were just the weapon he chose. She was quiet for a moment. Then, what do I do now? I studied her. She was young, 28 to my 32. She had her whole life ahead of her. And despite everything, despite the anger still simmering in my chest, I couldn't help but see myself in her broken expression. This is what I do, after all. I help people escape bad relationships. You end it, I said simply. Cleanly. Completely. You block his number, delete his messages, and you move on. But I love him. You love who you thought he was. Trust me, that's not the same person. I pulled out a business card, not mine but a therapist I trusted. Call this number. She specializes in helping people recover from manipulative relationships. Jenna took the card with shaking hands. I don't understand. Why are you helping me? Because, I said, this is what I do. And because destroying you doesn't fix what he broke. It just breaks one more person. She nodded slowly, then stood. At the door, she paused. For what it's worth. I really am sorry. About your daughter. I never should have. No, I agreed. You shouldn't have. After she left, I sat in the silence of my office. My phone buzzed again. Andrew, I know you're angry. I know I made mistakes. But please don't do this. Don't throw away everything we built together. I typed back. You already did. The divorce papers will be delivered at noon. Sign them. What about Lily? What about her? You want to explain to our daughter why she walked in on you introducing her to her new mommy? A long pause. Then, I'll fight you on this. You won't take everything from me. I smiled at my phone.
Try.
The legal proceedings moved faster than I expected. When you have mountains of evidence and the best divorce attorney in the city, things tend to go smoothly. What I hadn't expected was the public fallout. Someone, and I had a pretty good idea, who leaked the story to the press. Prominent CEO caught in affair. Breakup specialist breaks up her own marriage. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. My business phone rang off the hook. Half were reporters wanting interviews. The other half were new clients, women who'd seen the story and thought, if she can do this to her own husband, she can help me. My schedule filled up for the next 3 months. Andrew's business wasn't so lucky. My father made good on his threat to pull all family investments. Other investors, seeing the rats flee the sinking ship, followed suit. Andrew's company stock plummeted. His parents called me exactly once. You're destroying him, his mother said, her voice cold. Is your pride worth ruining a man's life? Is his mistress worth ruining mine? I countered. You made your choice that night. You chose her over your granddaughter. Over me. So no, I don't feel guilty about the consequences. We could have worked this out privately. You mean quietly? Sweeping it under the rug while Andrew kept both of us on a string. I laughed. No thank you. I'm done making myself small for the comfort of others. She hung up without another word. The custody hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks after I filed. Andrew showed up with his own lawyer, a shark I recognized from corporate litigation cases. Ms. Thorne, the judge said, reviewing the files. You're seeking sole custody with supervised visitation for Mr. Cole? Yes, Your Honor. Given the circumstances, I gestured to the evidence packets. I don't believe my daughter is safe in his care, without supervision. Andrew's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client made a mistake in his personal life, but that doesn't make him an unfit father. He's been a devoted parent for 3 years. A devoted parent who introduced his 3-year-old daughter to his mistress and tried to force her to call another woman mama. My lawyer interrupted, pulling out the relevant testimonies. We have statements from multiple witnesses at the family dinner, including the child's own account. The judge looked at Andrew, who had the grace to appear ashamed. Mr. Cole, did this incident occur as described? Your Honor, the situation was complicated. It's a yes or no question, Mr. Cole. A long pause. Yes. The judge's expression hardened. Sole custody to Ms. Thorne. Mr. Cole will have supervised visitation rights every other weekend, pending a psychological evaluation and completion of co-parenting classes. Andrew's face went red. You can't. I can and I have. This hearing is adjourned. In the hallway afterward, Andrew caught up to me. Leslie, please. You're taking everything. My company, my money, my daughter. Our daughter. I corrected. And I'm not taking her from you. I'm protecting her from the chaos you created. I made a mistake. His voice rose, attracting stares from people passing by. I'm human. I screwed up. Why can't you forgive me? I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness. Just a vast, empty calm. Because forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, Andrew. It doesn't mean pretending it never happened. And it definitely doesn't mean giving you another chance to hurt me or our daughter. So that's it? 8 years together, gone? Just like that? No, I said softly.
Not just like that.
It ended the day you decided someone else was more important than your family. I'm just the one brave enough to say it out loud. I turned and walked away. This time he didn't follow. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, my life had settled into a new rhythm. Lily was thriving. Away from the tension of the dying marriage, she'd blossomed. She loved her new preschool, had made friends, and only asked about her father occasionally. The supervised visits were going well. Andrew, at least, seemed to be genuinely trying to rebuild that relationship. I could respect that, even if I couldn't respect anything else about him. My business had exploded. The publicity from the divorce had made me something of a celebrity in certain circles. Women came to me not just because I was good at my job, but because I'd survived the same thing they were going through. I'd become living proof that life goes on after betrayal. One afternoon, my assistant buzzed me. Ms. Thorne, there's someone here to see you. No appointment, but she says you know her. I looked up from my paperwork, curious. Send her in. The woman who walked through my door was impeccably dressed, older than me by about 15 years, with sharp eyes and an air of confidence. Miss Thorne, she said, extending her hand. My name is Patricia Chun. I'm the CEO of Chun Industries. I knew the name. Chun Industries was one of the largest consulting firms in the city. I shook her hand, intrigued. What can I do for you, Miss Chun? She sat down, crossing her legs. I've been following your story. Very impressive how you've turned a personal tragedy into professional triumph. Thank you, but I'm guessing you didn't come here just to congratulate me. She smiled.
Perceptive.
I like that. No, I came with a business proposition. She pulled out a folder and slid it across my desk. I want to acquire your company. I blinked. Excuse me? Your business model is brilliant. Breakup services. It's an untapped market with enormous potential. But you're limited by being a solo operation. Imagine what you could do with my resources. Multiple offices across the country. A team of specialists. You'd still run the operation, but with the backing of a major corporation. I opened the folder. The numbers inside made my eyes widen. That's generous. It's fair. You've built something valuable, Miss Thorne. I'm simply offering you the chance to expand it beyond what you could do alone. I leaned back, studying her. What's the catch? No catch. Well, she smiled. One small request. I want you to take on a particular case. Personal friend of mine. Her husband's been cheating for years, but she can't prove it. She needs someone with your expertise. I looked at the contract, then at Patricia Chen's expectant face. A few months ago, I would have said no. I would have been too raw, too hurt, too angry to take on someone else's pain. But I wasn't that person anymore. I'll need to review this with my lawyer, I said, tapping the folder. But tentatively, I'm interested. Patricia's smile widened. Excellent. I look forward to working with you, Miss Thorne. After she left, I sat in my office, looking out at the city skyline. Somewhere out there, Andrew was probably in his cramped new apartment, wondering where it all went wrong. Somewhere out there, Jenna was probably rebuilding her life, hopefully having learned her lesson. And here I was, on the verge of turning my pain into an empire. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. Heard about the Chin Industries offer. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. I smiled and texted back. Thanks, Dad. Another text came in, this one from Lily's preschool, with a photo attached. My daughter, grinning at the camera, holding up a painting she'd made. The teacher's note read, Lily said this is her family. She wanted you to have it. I opened the image. In the painting, done in bright, messy colors only a 3-year-old could create, were 2 figures holding hands. One tall, one small. Above them, she painted a sun and birds and what might have been flowers or possibly dinosaurs. It was hard to tell. But what was clear was the happiness in those painted faces. No Andrew, No grandparents. No one but us. Just me and Lily against the world. And somehow that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into Andrew at a coffee shop. It wasn't planned. I was grabbing my morning latte before a client meeting, and there he was, standing in line ahead of me, looking at his phone.
He'd aged.
There were new lines around his eyes, gray in his hair that hadn't been there before. He wore a suit that had seen better days, and his shoes needed shining. The mighty had fallen, and he looked the part. He must have felt someone staring because he turned around. Our eyes met. Leslie. Andrew. An awkward silence stretched between us, filled with the hiss of the espresso machine and the chatter of other customers. You look good, he said finally. Happy. I was surprised to find it wasn't a line.
He meant it.
I am, I said simply. How's this supervised visitation going?
Good.
Really good, actually. His face softened when he mentioned Lily. She's incredible. I don't think I really saw that before. How amazing she is. She is. Another pause. He shifted his weight. I wanted to say I'm sorry. I know I said it before, but I don't think I really meant it. Not the way I should have. I studied him. He looked sincere, but then again, he'd always been a good actor. Sorry for what, specifically? I asked. He blinked, caught off guard. For everything? Everything isn't an apology, Andrew. It's a cop-out. He took a breath, then spoke more carefully. I'm sorry for cheating on you. For lying to you. For making you feel like you were crazy when you were just seeing the truth. I'm sorry for bringing Jenna around Lily. For letting my family treat you the way they did. For, his voice cracked slightly. For taking the best thing in my life and destroying it because I was too stupid and selfish to see what I had. I felt something in my chest loosen. Not forgiveness, exactly. But maybe the beginning of closure. Thank you, I said. For saying that. Does it help? Hearing it? I considered. A little. But mostly I've moved on. I had to. For Lily's sake and my own. He nodded slowly. I heard about the Chun Industries deal. Congratulations. That's really amazing, Leslie. Thank you. And I heard you're seeing someone. That doctor from Lily's pediatrician's office. I raised an eyebrow. Where did you hear that? Lily mentioned a nice man who makes mommy smile. She really likes him, apparently. He managed a small, sad smile. I'm glad. You deserve to be happy. I am happy, I said. With or without a man. That's something I learned through all of this. I don't need someone to complete me. I was always complete. The barista called my name. I picked up my latte and turned back to Andrew. Take care of yourself, I said. And keep showing up for Lily. That's all I ask. I will. I promise. He hesitated, then added, You were always too good for me, you know. I just wish I'd realized it before I lost you. I gave him a small, genuine smile. I wish you had too. But we are where we are. I walked out into the morning sunshine, leaving Andrew and the ghost of our marriage behind me. Epilogue. 2 years later. The new office was everything I dreamed of and more. Chun Industries had backed their promise with resources. I now had a team of 12 specialists working under me, offices in 5 cities, and a reputation that had women flying in from across the country for consultations. We didn't just break people up anymore. We helped them rebuild. We offered therapy referrals, legal assistance, financial planning. We helped women leave with their dignity and their assets intact. Lily was 5 now, starting kindergarten. She saw Andrew every other weekend, and their relationship had actually strengthened through the consistency of supervised visits. His parents had even come around, grudgingly, after realizing that their behavior had cost them not just me, but access to their granddaughter. As for me, I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy, in a way I hadn't been in years. Dr. James Mitchell, the pediatrician Lily had mentioned to Andrew, had indeed become a significant part of our lives. He was patient, kind, and had no problem with the fact that I came with baggage and a precocious 5-year-old. He'd proposed last month and I'd said, maybe. Not because I didn't love him, but because I'd learned that I didn't need to rush into anything. That I could take my time, be sure, build something slowly and carefully. And he understood that. Which was exactly why I was starting to think that maybe might turn into yes. I was in my office reviewing case files when my assistant knocked. Ms. Thorne? You have a walk-in. She says it's urgent. I looked up, ready to say I didn't take walk-ins anymore, when I saw who was standing in my doorway. Jenna. She looked different. Older, more put together. Confident in a way she hadn't been 2 years ago. "Hi," she said nervously. "I know you don't take walk-ins, but I wanted to thank you." I gestured for her to sit. "Thank me? For giving me that therapist's card. For helping me when you had every reason to slam the door in my face." She sat down, her hands folded in her lap. "I've been in therapy for 2 years now. I've learned a lot about myself. About why I accepted so little. Why I believe his lies." "I'm glad you're doing better," I said and meant it. "I am. I really am. I'm actually engaged now. To a good man. Someone honest." She smiled. "And I'm starting my own business. Medical consulting. Helping patients navigate their healthcare options." "That's wonderful, Jenna." "It is. And I owe a lot of it to you.
You could have destroyed me that day.
Instead, you gave me a chance to save myself." She stood up. "I just wanted you to know that your kindness mattered." After she left, I sat in the quiet of my office, thinking about the strange journey that had brought me here. I'd started this business thinking love was simple, that you could quantify it, fix it, end it cleanly. But I'd learned that love was messy and complicated and often unfair. That people hurt each other, sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident. That betrayal wasn't the end of the story, just the middle. The end was what you chose to do next. My phone buzzed. A text from James. "Dinner tonight? I'll cook." I smiled and texted back. "Perfect. Lily, and I will bring dessert." Then another text from Lily's kindergarten teacher, with a photo attached. My daughter, standing in front of the class, holding up a poster she'd made about my hero. The poster had a picture of me. I touched the screen gently, feeling tears prick my eyes. I'd survived betrayal, divorce, and public humiliation. I'd rebuilt my life from the ground up. I'd turned my pain into purpose. And somehow, through it all, I'd become the hero of my own story. Not because I was perfect, or because I'd gotten revenge, or because I'd found someone new to love, but because I'd loved myself enough to walk away from someone who didn't value me. Because I'd been brave enough to start over. Because I'd show my daughter that strength doesn't mean staying in situations that hurt you, it means having the courage to leave. The phone on my desk buzzed. My next client was here. I wiped my eyes, straightened my jacket, and opened the door. There was always someone else who needed help. Someone else who needed to hear that they deserved better. That they could survive this. And I would be there to tell them what I'd learned the hard way. Sometimes the best breakup you can orchestrate is the one that sets you free.